All right, so we were talking about Declaration of Independence and everything that led us to the point of declaring war. This diagram right here shows one of the major advantages that Britain has. There was a saying about Britain. The saying was, the sun never sets on the British Empire. Here's how. If this yellow area is where the sun is shining, everywhere that has a red circle is someplace that Britain owns. So if you start over here, it's always touching one of those red circles. So all these red circles are fighting this little black circle area here. America really doesn't have much of a chance in this war. So here's Britain's advantages. First advantage, Britain's military. They have the best musketmen. They are the best shots. They have the best navy, the biggest fleet in the entire world. Doesn't look good for America. Second, they have a 5-to-1 population advantage. That means for every one soldier of ours that they kill, we have to kill 5 of theirs just to keep it even. And third, they have money. Taxes from all across their empire, including us. See, we've declared independence. We're not free until we win. They still got their military over here. They're still collecting tax money from us. So we are still paying them while they are fighting us. And if we say no, they just kill us and take the money anyway. So we got a bad situation. Here's our advantages. First, we got home field advantage. We know the territory. Second, we are fighting for a cause. Most of our soldiers aren't being paid, but they're still fighting for something that they believe in. And the third major advantage that we have, don't have it listed here, we don't have to win in order to win. All we have to do is not ever give up. And we'll talk about that more, especially when we get to the end of the war. As far as blacks in the military goes, Washington prohibited all blacks from being in our military, afraid of a racial divide being created, afraid of racial tension that would happen in our military. But Britain's not stupid. So Britain took advantage of that, and they passed a law called Lord Dunmore's Proclamation, which said if you fought on Britain's side, if you joined their army and fought for them, when the war was over, you would have independence. As a result, lots of slaves did join Britain's military, and Britain kept their word. Even though Britain will eventually end up losing this war, spoiler, I know. Even though Britain will eventually end up losing, Britain does give independence to all of those slaves that joined their military. They take them back to Britain with them. As far as allies go, Britain had a lot of foreign allies. Most of them are hired mercenaries. The British also were allies with the Mohawk Indians, which if you guys remember in the Boston Tea Party, the Sons of Liberty dressed up like the Mohawks, kind of, to try and act like that. The Mohawks are led by a guy named Tynedinga. The British just called him Joseph Brant. Battles before the before the Declaration of Independence. We had the battles of Lexington and Concord, but there were lots of other battles that happened before as well. One of those, Americans take Fort Ticonderoga, which gets us access to cannons. To take this fort, the Green Mountain Boys were sent, and they were supposed to be led by Benedict Arnold. Benedict Arnold is the second highest ranking man in America's military, only behind George Washington. George Washington was the only guy ranked above Benedict Arnold. But the Green Mountain Boys, they had a leader already. His name was Ethan Allen. And so Benedict Arnold had to give Ethan Allen some of the control in order to get the battle in order to get the Green Mountain Boys to even go there. Another battle was the Battle of Bunker Hill, which really didn't even take place on Bunker Hill. It took place on Breed's Hill. This was after the Battle of Lexington and Concord. The American colonists followed the British back to Boston, and we just kind of sit there. Well, after the British regroup, they come out of Boston and attack our forces. But America has a problem. See, we don't have any money, which means we don't have money for ammunition. We don't have weaponry that we need. And so we had to give an order, don't fire until you see the whites of their eyes. Meaning don't fire until they're so close you can't miss. Britain lost over 1,000 men in the battle. Americans lost less than 400. But remember, Britain has a 5-to-1 population advantage, so the British really didn't even care, and American forces had to retreat eventually. They lost the land, so this was a victory for them. Battle of Dorchester Heights, once again, Boston surrounded, this time by Washington, but we don't have any heavy cannons there. So we have to go to Fort Ticonderoga to get them. Henry Knox is sent to go get the cannons and bring them the 210 miles back to shell the city. British General Howe sees from Boston, looking out binoculars or out of a scope, that Washington's got the cannons, so he evacuates the city, and British General Howe retreats to Canada. Battle of Fort Moultrie, South Carolina. This is the most famous battle that took place in our state. There are lots of battles that happened. More battles happened in South Carolina than anywhere else, but this is by far the most famous one. Battle of Fort Moultrie. It takes place on Sullivan's Island. So they build a fort out of what they had there, palmetto trees. The British try to circle the fort to avoid cannon fire, but get stuck in the sandbars. And the palmetto wood is a very soft wood. See, lots of elementary school teachers teach this wrong. They talk the cannonballs bounced off the wood. They don't bounce off. We make it out of freaking trampolines. Cannonballs hit the wood. The wood is spongy. So when the cannonball hits the wood, it creates a dent in it, and then the cannonball just simply falls. So it's not bouncing back, but it's not doing any damage either. The British end up knocking the flag off of the fort. It's recovered. A guy named William Jasper, he's a hero of this battle, jumps over the walls of the fort into the sand, recovers the flag, and runs back to the top. This is what the flag looked like. So this is what South Carolina's flag looked like. And if you guys see right here, this isn't a crescent moon. The original thing was this. And there's a reason for it. It's a piece of armor called a gorget. It goes around your throat. It protected your throat in battle. But only extremely wealthy people could afford this piece of armor, which is the reason why South Carolina put it on our flag. It was a symbol of wealth. South Carolina was the wealthiest, so that's why we have it on our flag. So it's technically not a crescent moon and a palmetto tree. It is the palmetto tree from this battle. That's why it's on there. But it's a crescent moon. Or it's not a crescent moon, it's the gorget. It's that piece of armor. In Canada, America, we kind of got stupid here. America figured, hey, we want independence. Canada must want independence too. So we figured we'll march up there to Canada. We're going to free Canada for all the Canadians. And we were wrong. We march across the border, and since Canada wasn't really involved a whole lot in the French and Indian War, and they don't really have any problems with the Native Americans. They were involved in the French and Indian War, but they were on France's side. France is gone now. Canada didn't have the taxes like what we did. And Canada was happy to be a British colony. So America said, okay, you don't want to be free. We're going to make you be free. We know you need it anyway. And so we go up there and we try and take them by force. Colonel Richard Montgomery succeeds in taking St. John's and Montreal, and then goes to help Benedict Arnold in taking Quebec, which really would have ended the war in Canada if he could take Quebec. But Benedict Arnold decides to attack in the middle of a blizzard, and half of his men die in the blizzard during the attack. Britain then goes after New York City, which was being guarded by George Washington. And this is what made George Washington such an amazing military leader. George Washington's men are farmers. They are businessmen. They are not soldiers. And Washington is fighting against professional soldiers. It would be like Paul Knox Patriots playing, I don't know, pick any NFL team. Well, actually, these were the best in the world, so the Kansas City Chiefs. I know they just lost the Raiders. Shut up, I hear that. But you got Kansas City Chiefs against the Paul Knox Patriots. The Patriots shouldn't be able to survive at all. They should all die on the field. That's what the damage the Chiefs should do. They should hurt them so bad they have no chance of doing anything. They don't move the ball forwards. Everything goes backwards. Every time they snap the ball, it's a fumble, and it should be a blowout. But imagine Paul Knox scores, not just once, but a few times. Chiefs still win, but what do you say about our team if we score a couple times? That's Washington. He and his men should have all died numerous times. Washington actually makes a mistake here and gets himself trapped on the island of Manhattan. But Washington finds a way to escape, and the British aren't able to finish the war because Washington always manages to find a way out and get away. And eventually he's going to win a battle here and a battle there. All right, so you guys should have your answers here for this lesson. Remember, if you have any questions, shoot me an email. I'll help you guys out. Tomorrow we'll talk some more about some other battles that take place in the American Revolution, some other strategies and things that are used in the war. So I'll see you with that lesson.